Oh, it was a fun day at the grocery store today. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I had fun at the grocery store. Yeah. Yes, I did. And we're going to talk about it. Straighten your banner. Come on. Jesus. Do I have to straighten your banner every single time? You're going to end up wearing it for a year at this rate. What do you got on your cheek? You got something on your cheek. You're missing some feathers on your cheek here. How'd that happen? Let me see the other side of your face. Yes, you are. You're missing some cheek fuzz here. Let me see if I can cover it up. Yeah. How the hell did that happen? I never noticed that. Yeah, you're missing some cheek fuzz. Okay. I think I got it hidden. Yeah. I don't know how you're missing cheek fuzz, but you are. From the WDWL TV multiplex, live from the Red Studio #1, with great anticipation, we bring you the pride of the station, the grumpy old man, and the grumpy vulture. Would you like to take a bow? Okay, take your bow. Well, kind of half-ass. Back in your corner. Oh, you made the payment. They unrepossessed your second disco lamp. Aha, see what happens when you don't make the payments? Okay, let me get this out of the way. Hey, Kathy, how are ya? I had a fun day today at the grocery store. Yes. And I made a little bit of an adjustment to the golden microphone. Hopefully the volume is just a little lower. Yeah, I had it up a little too high. On the playback, it was like, whoa. Let me bump this down to there. I had to bump the volume down here. Yeah. I only took it down a notch. I didn't want it to be too low, but yesterday on the playback, I thought it was just a little bit high. But nobody complained. No comments, no emails. So I did get one email. People glad to see the golden microphone back. Yes, I actually got an email saying it's about time you brought it back. Well, it's back. Oh, I got something to show you. Where'd I put it? It wasn't a balaclava. It's a gator. That's what this one is. It's a gator. They were 4 for $99. I got 3 because I didn't want white. So I got black, slate gray, and navy blue. Yes. Still in the package. Yeah, a balaclava is where you like a ski mask. Very similar to a ski mask. This is a gator. Yeah, you slip it, and then while it's around your neck, you pull it up over your nose. I really don't care for them. But whenever I see a bargain, I can't resist. And for a quarter, so I got one in the RAV4. I got one in the Nissan, and the spare is here in the house. I got more goddamn masks, and I don't wear them. Although today, at the grocery store, I should have come in with police riot gear. Jeez. Following a mother with 4 kids. I think you know where the story's going already. Neither did I. As a matter of fact, I walked past it in the store and I went, gator? What the hell's a gator? And I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, see if we can get a... See, it goes around your neck, and then you pull the pointy part up on your nose, and there's a string on the back here to adjust tension to hold it on your nose. A lot different than a balaclava. But I saw face mask gator, and I was like, whoa, what's that? Then after I tried it on, I was like, I don't like these. But for a quarter, use it a couple of times, throw it away. I ain't even going to bother washing it, out in the trash. So yeah, I was at the grocery store, and here's a mother with her 4 kids. I would say from 12 to, I'll say, 6. The other name that starts with a B. We got balaclava. We got gator. I can't think of another one that starts with B. Balaclava. Oh, now you're going to drive me crazy. I can't think of another one that starts with B. Maybe it'll come to me. So, I I'm in the grocery store, and I only had to get 2 items. But I grabbed the basket anyway. So oh, you're going to drive me crazy now. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Yeah. It'll come to me. They're all a pain in the ass, no matter what mask you wear. Although, I'll tell you what, I'll bring in tomorrow the masks that Amazon issued the employees. They're washable, reusable. They got that stupid fucking check mark. They are the most comfortable out of any of the masks that I was wearing. Matter of fact, people, no matter where he was, oh, you work for Amazon? No. Why? Well, you got the Amazon mask. Well, can't you wear an Amazon mask? Yeah, the Prime check mark. I just ended up telling people, my son works for Amazon, okay? Give me a break. It's a mask. Jesus. But they're super comfortable. I really like it. Those I was wearing regularly. So I'm in the store. I get my 2 items. And I was thinking of getting a bag of chips. Although I have 2 bags in my bedroom already. Oh, I didn't tell you that. Oh, before we go on with the grocery store story. I go up to Circle K yesterday. I walk over to the cooler, and I was pissed. No chip dip. So there happened to be an employee, and she was putting pop or juice into a cooler. And I says to her, I says, what is with the Lawson's chip dip? She says, I don't know, sir, what? I said, there ain't any here. She said, well, let me look in the cooler. So she goes in the cooler, and she goes, all I got is 2 of these big ones. I'll take them. I got 2 of the big Lawson's chip dip. I think they were fucking quart. I don't know. They're big. So they're in my fridge in my bedroom. I was eating chip and dip last night in bed, which I have to stop doing because I had crumbs all over. But oh, was it good? Oh, God. Lawson's chip dip. Oh. Matter of fact, I wasn't thinking. At the grocery store today, I could have got, I don't know about your grocery store. They have special big baking potatoes. Matter of fact, they're cleaned and they're wrapped in foil. And they're big. I forgot to get some. because I could make a meal on a big baked potato with everything and a big spoonful of Lawson's chip dip. Maybe tomorrow I'll run up to the store and get a couple of them big baking potatoes. Oh, for a minute I thought you said rub it all over. Oh, I was almost going to do that. Slather myself in chip dip. Hey, I haven't had it in about a year. And then I luck out and I get two big ones. I'm going to look on the container and see what the ounces are. But they're like the size of two cottage cheese containers. They have the little, and then they have the medium, and then they got jumbo. Matter of fact, when I got to the cash register, a lady was like, "Gee, you like chip dip, don't you?" I said, "Oh, yeah." And those are the last two in the cooler. Oh, I was pissed when the shelf was empty, and I was like, not one in it. So I was appreciative when the girl went back and went, "Well, this is all we got. That's okay, I'll take them." I got a bag of Circle K brand potato chips. I'm going to try them tonight. I know one thing, I'm never going to eat them ootses again. Jesus. Those potato chips. You wring the bag out first before you open. Then you scoop the chips out, and then you got motor oil for your car. That's how greasy them suckers are. Jesus. And then I see a commercial last night for Oots potato chips. And the girl's going, "Oh, nice and crunchy." Where, are you eating Lay's? Because you ain't eating Oots. Oh, those are nasty potato chips. And what's... Unless you like greasy potato chips. So, I'm in the grocery store, and like I said, I was thinking of getting a bag of chips. So I walk over by the chips, and here's a bag of chips open. So I was like, And I went to put it back on the shelf, and I was like, no, I'll take it up to the manager. Well, in front of me are 4 kids, aged 12 to 6 or 7, and each kid has an item that they're eating from. And then put it back on the shelf. Now, Mom is nowhere to be seen. There was nobody in the chip and cookie aisle except these 4 delinquents sampling items and putting them back on the shelf. So, as they put them on the shelf, I kind of nonchalantly put them in my basket. And they were looking around. So I had to be inconspicuous. You know, I grabbed a bag of pretzels and I'm reading the bag like, So we get to the end of the chip and cookie aisle. I have 5 packages of cookies, a box of Cheetos, a bag of Cheetos, a box of not Ritz, Cheez-Its, a box of Cheez-Its, an open packet, you know those lunch, they're like lunch crackers. They come, what, 2, 4, 6 in a pack. They're either like cheese and peanut butter or sour cream or little lunch packs. Well, I had an open box of those and mini pretzels, a bag of mini pretzels. I got a basket full of shit. So I'm looking to see which register these kids are headed for. Well, I spot, there's Mom loading stuff on the belt. The 4 little angels file in behind her. So I filed in behind the 4 little angels. The assistant manager happened to be one aisle over filling a pop cooler on the end cap. So and the look on his face like, oh no. I was like, come here. So I took my 2 items out of the basket and I says to him, all this stuff in here are from her kids sampling and stashing. And I said, there was nobody in the aisle except these 4 kids and me. So if you want to pull the tape, but I'm going to put this basket with her groceries, and I would appreciate you maybe sticking around because there's going to be a war. So he's like, okay. So he goes around to the other end of the register, and he's standing behind the cashier, which immediately she's getting nervous, like, what did I do? You know, she's scanning. So the basket comes up, and she goes, is that yours? I said, oh no, I got my 2 items here. That's hers. She's like, that's not mine. I got a cart. I had a basket. I says, those are yours. All that stuff in the basket's yours. She goes, no, it's not mine. I said, ask your 4 little darlings why this basket of open product is sitting here. Well, all of a sudden, they're deaf, dumb, and blind, you know. Like, you know, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. So finally, the older one spoke up and he said, well, we might have opened that bag of chips. I looked at him and I said, go on, finish. Well, they're just a bag of chips. I said, okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Everybody open up and tell Mom which one of these you opened and sampled. And I'll tell you what, the look she gave me, whoa, worse than the look that my mother used to give me when I pissed her off. So finally, the 4 little angels admitted, yeah, Mom, we were... And then, of course, they all start crying, you know. So mom is like, I'm not paying for that stuff. And the store manager standing right there, and he said, well, yes, you are. Your kids opened all them packs. She said, oh, prove it. Store manager says, fine. I'll go in and pull the tape from the camera, and I'll set it up at the service desk, and we can watch it on the monitor. So the basket gets set aside at the end of the register, and the manager calls mom up, spins the monitor, and goes, these 4 kids happen to be yours? She's looking, and all 4 of them have got something that they're eating. It was a little hard for her to deny those were her kids. So the manager says, can you bring that basket up to the service desk? I said, gladly. He wasn't talking to me, he was talking to the cashier. I just figured I'd piss mom off a little more. I carried the basket up, and I stood there because I still had my 2 items. You know, I'm going to pay for them. So she's like, well, what are you standing there for? I says, well, I'm waiting for the girl to check me out. I got my 2 items here. I couldn't hear what she was saying under her breath, but I don't think she was complimenting me on my beard. So needless to say, mom bought a little extra from her grocery list today. All kinds of open packages. You know, when I was young, I wouldn't dare touch anything in a store, let alone open it and eat it. Of course, I wouldn't have lived to see the sun come up the next day had I done something like that. This is like the 3rd or 4th time I've caught kids doing this. And I can guarantee, had I not caught them, it would have continued. And it'll probably continue because mom just turns them loose. I don't know what's with these kids today. I don't see a sign in the store that says, help yourself. Well, definitely, Kathy, because had I not seen this go on, when it come time at the end of the evening for them to, I don't know, every store calls it something different. Recover, front face. I know they give a code word over the intercom. Like when I was working part-time at Staples, you'd hear recovery. So then you would go to your assigned area and front face everything and straighten up. All this shit would have gotten discovered at closing. And then thrown away. Now, do you think the store eats that? Oh, no. That's why prices go up. They refer to it as shrinkage. We had $10,000 worth of shrinkage this year. They're not going to eat it. They're going to pass it on to the consumer. And prices are fucking high enough the way it is now. God damn. I could buy a case of potato chips for what they charge for one goddamn bag. And you really don't see the big family packs too much. Remember the big bag? Now I know like Gigantic Eaglet still has the big family, but most of them are the small, I don't know, what are they, 16 ounce or something? $4. $4 for a little. The only reason I got potato chips is Mark's had them on sale. It was like $2.89 for that $4 bag. So I got it was $2.89 or 2 for $5. Yeah, $2.89 or 2 for $5. So I bought 2. I splurged. And then yesterday, I went up to Circle K and lucked out and got enough chip dip to bathe in. Oh, I couldn't believe it when she come out with it. We only have these left, sir, just the last 2. I'll take them. Thank you. She's looking at me like, what the hell's that old guy got to do with all that fucking chip dip? Oh, it won't go to waste. Lawson's chip dip, when the carton is empty, I take my finger. I clean the carton out. Yes. I take my finger and I clean that carton. You never waste Lawson's chip dip. Never. But I think tomorrow I'm going to go get me a couple of them big baking potatoes. And I'll get me some shredded cheese and some bacon bits. What else can I put in them potatoes? Shredded cheese, shredded cheddar. Well, first we're going to put in a big glob of Irish butter. I don't know what the difference between regular American butter and Irish butter, but it was on sale. So I decided to try some. So I will have my baked potato with some Irish butter, shredded cheddar, some chives, bacon bits. And what else can I put in that potato to make a meal out of it? Butter, shredded cheddar, bacon bits. What else? I'm trying to think what Wendy's puts in it when you get a loaded baked potato. What do they put in it? I think that's all they put in it. I mean, it would be nice to put some chopped up filet mignon in there, Oh, really? Is that really? Well, I guess it will be interesting. I have been wanting to buy it, but it's so fucking expensive. So it was 50% off. So I bought one. I ended up with a block about yay by yay. I don't know, maybe half a pound. It's not big. I think it's half a pound. Either way. Plus, I couldn't resist the emerald green wrapper. I've been looking at it, but I never knew it was specially cured. In the ground. Well, that's interesting. I hope for the price it tastes good. Because otherwise I'm just going to go back to the generic. Well, this is special. I won't be buying Irish butter on a regular basis. I'll be getting the whatever the generic is. God, Land O'Lakes is almost $7. I looked at that, $6.98 for 4 sticks. I'm like, what are they, made of titanium? That's why when I saw this little block of Irish butter for $2.99, I was like, well, I'll try it. That sounds interesting. Cured in the ground. Wow. I'm looking forward to eating it now. I was looking forward to it anyway, but now even more. Almost like Japanese kimchi, where they bury the pots in the ground. I love kimchi. Oh, I used to buy Land O'Lakes. Now we get Hillendale Farms. It's half the price of Land O'Lakes. To me, butter is butter. Well, except for now my Irish butter. But yeah, on the top shelf, Land O'Lakes, $6.98 for 4 sticks. Underneath, Hillendale, $3.98 for 4 sticks. Hillendale works for me. Oh, at the Giant Eagle at 117th, that big Jagunda store, they've got a cafe and a bakery and a fresh sushi stand. The guy makes it right in front of you. And I always ask for extra kimchi. He looks at me like, you want more? You want more? Yeah, more. Hey. Hey, to you too. Yeah, I don't. More? You want more? Puts a little scoop. You want more? Dump. More? Okay. Oh, I could eat that stuff on breakfast cereal. And if you buy it in the store, it's outrageous. Although what isn't nowadays, but a little container like $7, $8, I'm like, God. No wonder they only give you a little bit. That and the, I love that green horseradish. Oh, that stuff's deadly. The wasabi. I always ask for extra wasabi, too. They have it in a tube. Now, you would think it would be in a little jar. No, it looks like toothpaste. Yeah, if you want wasabi here, have a toothpaste container. Put a little wasabi on my kimchi. Oh, I'll tell you what. I take the sushi and I put a little kimchi on each one, and then I put a little wasabi on each one. I haven't mastered chopsticks, although they got the cheater chopsticks where they're fused at the end. All you got to do is spread them and then hold on to it. And then I dip it in the soy sauce, and then voila. And it never fails. The first thing that hits the back of my throat is the wasabi. Now, I don't get anything raw. I get my sushi. I want, cooked crab, cooked shrimp, nothing raw. And he'll make whatever you want while you wait. And it's amazing. Now, I know they go to school for it. And he was telling me before he got his certificate, he had to train for 10 years. 10 years before he got his sushi master certificate. And you have that roll of seaweed, and when they slice it, each slice is perfect because he puts them, puts them all side by side on the cutting board, and they're perfect. I don't know how the hell if you did it every single day for 10 years, yeah, he'll take that roll and he takes that knife and he spins it around. He always puts on a show. And then when he puts them in the container, they're perfect. Each one, same exact size. I love to watch him. Now, when he's making it to put in the cooler to sell, no show. When you're watching, especially when he goes to cut it, he picks up that knife and he spins it. Then he comes down. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 you too. Watch that knife. I love watching him make it. I love watching him make it. He called me crazy. I said, no, no raw, no. You crazy American. Yeah. No raw, nothing. Okay. You will want a little each? Crab, shrimp. Yeah. Crab, shrimp, yeah. Then he asks you seaweed on inside or outside? Whatever way you want to do it. Because some he'll roll and the rice is on the outside. And then some he makes where the seaweed's on the outside. But when he goes to finish, he'll have that nice even roll. He spins that knife. Hey, 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 hey. Watch that knife. And then he goes to put them in the container, and each one is identical. I don't know how well, like I say, 10 years. 10 years to get his certificate. And he's got it framed. He's proud of that. But can you imagine going to school every day for 10 fucking years just making sushi? I like when he'll take the raw salmon and he makes flowers. The way he folds it up, it looks like a little flower. And then he gently takes some salmon eggs and puts them in the center to make it look like the whatever. He's amazing to watch. If it wasn't raw, I would take some. But it's raw salmon, and he'll cut a strip real thin, and then he folds it up, and it's a flower. It is so cool when he gets done with it. And then he decorates the center with a couple of salmon eggs, It looks gorgeous. He told me, I haven't been there for a couple of months. He did a wedding. And the wedding was all appetizer. And he made trays of soup every way possible. And he said it was gorgeous on the table. And I asked him, I said, "Do you have a picture?" No. You would think if you made a big goddamn table full of fucking sushi, he'd have had a picture. But he told me the whole table was every way possible you can make sushi. After 10 years, I'm glad that he got his master sushi maker certificate. But when he takes that strip of salmon, it'll be probably about this long. And it's like paper thin. And flour. And he gently puts it down. And it's on a little, like, folded cup of seaweed, and he puts the flour in, and then he gently decorates it with some salmon eggs. It's too gorgeous to eat. It really is. That day, I stood around for about an hour waiting for somebody to order the raw salmon flowers. But just, he'll make a sampler, like a sampler platter. He makes it, it's in a bowl about maybe 12 inches in diameter. And it'll have like two of everything, two flowers and two of this and two of that, two of this and two of that. It's gorgeous when you look at it. It's about $40 for that goddamn little. Because I said to him, are that many people ordering sushi? And he said, it's amazing how much he sells. Now we're talking 117th and I-90, all blue-collar neighborhood, and he sells a shitload of sushi. And that's all because I says to him, I says, you work like in a restaurant in the evening? Oh, no. Just a work of art. A work of art. But I love when he has that roll all set to go. He takes that big fucking knife. Hey. He said to me one day, he says, you want me to get big knife? I know. Yeah, he has a samurai sword in the back. Thing's about 4 foot long. He told me, I'll cut with the big knife. No. Although I should have said yes. It would have been neat to watch him with that big. The small knife is good enough. Thank you. But he's got it hanging back there. I guess he'll show off if people want, because he said, you a big knife? I looked. No. I should have said yes, damn it. Next time I go in, I'm going to say yes. I want the big knife. I want to see him stand back with that samurai sword, whack that sushi. I'm going to ask him if he does parties. I could see somebody inviting him for a party, Next time I go to Gigantic Eaglet and order sushi, I'm going to ask him to use the big samurai sword, and I'm going to film it. I'm going to ask him first. I'm going to take my GoPro. Matter of fact, I'll have it mounted on my head thing. You ready? Big knife? Yeah. Wait a minute. Click. Now. Yeah. I'm going to ask him if I can film it. The big samurai sword. He thinks I'm crazy anyway. What do you mean, no raw? He tells me, real sushi, raw fish. I'll have the imitation sushi then. Cooked fish. Nothing raw. No. I can't stomach that. Another thing I like, seaweed salad. He makes seaweed salad daily. I didn't think I'd like it. One day he said, "Yeah, you try." Nah, you try. Okay, you got the big knife. I'll try. I was like, oh, well, I'll take some. See, I tell you. Okay. The stand is probably maybe 8 foot. Yeah, maybe about 8 foot. That's his work area. I don't know if he has to pay rent or how it's divided up. I mean, you pay at the register, you don't pay him. So I don't know how he makes his money. But he's been there for years. Well, since the place opened. That's got to be 15 years. Let's see, when did they close the one up the street? Well, because they opened a big monster. And I used to shop at the one up the street, and then they closed it. They said it was an underperforming store. Every time I went in there, the place was full of customers. Fucking Giant Eagle. Now, I could go up to Warren Road, up to Warren Village, but I can't get fresh sushi up there. Plus, they have a small butcher stand. You can get certain cuts of meat made to order, Not like the old days. God, you never saw packaged meat in a goddamn store back in the day. The whole back end of the store used to be one big meat counter. Now, they would have, steaks and pork chops, but you could order pork chops cut like me. I would get the thick ones, and the guy cut a pocket in them so I could stuff them. I love stuffed pork chops. You can't even find them today. Matter of fact, you tell them, don't you have any pork chops or stuffing? And they look at you like, what? You don't stuff pork chops. Yes, you do. All the old foods. Stuff I grew up on. That same thing. Every now and then I'll get a can of salmon and make salmon croquettes. I'll make them, and my kid will go, what the hell's that shit? It's a salmon croquette. A what? Try it. Although and every now and then, when crab goes on sale, I'll make some crab cakes. Have you seen the price of crab meat lately? Holy shit. They're pricing themselves right out of the market. People like me can't afford that shit. I grew up on it. I can't afford it anymore. My grandmother would make crab cakes like twice a month. And she'll always make them on the weekend because I was there on the weekend. Or salmon croquettes, you know. She'd go down to the West Side Market to the fresh fish stand and have them grind up some fresh salmon for her. And then she'd come home and she'd make salmon croquettes. Or if she was going to make crab cakes, you know, they were fresh cooking crab all day long. You want crab meat? Okay, hey, wait, you know, we'll deflesh a crab here for you. All the favorite stuff I grew up with. And Kathy, the traditions are dying out. Kids today don't appreciate that food. Now, like, let's see. Now, do your daughters know how to make baklava? Is that tradition going to get carried on? Back when I was growing up, mothers taught their daughters how to cook so that when they got married, they could carry on the tradition. But not today. I don't think your daughters don't know how to make it. Oh, geez. The tradition gonna when you're gone, huh? They'll be buying it at the local Greek store. Jeez. Do they like eating it? Although, what does it cost you to make a pan of that at home? About $40. I know all the ingredients ain't cheap. Oh no. Really? Oh my God. They don't know what they're missing. And an hour's gone by. There goes the reverb. Exactly an hour tonight. I started at 7:04. 8:04, reverb. God damn it. I can't believe they don't like God. I'm not even Greek and I love baklava. Oh, I'll tell you what. If somebody put a pan of that in front of me, they'd find me dead with the last spoonful in my mouth. I'd eat the in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Me too. That's like every now and then, a friend of mine, she'll make cheesecake from scratch. And she'll bring me over like 11 by 14 cake pan. I eat the whole thing myself. I put it in my refrigerator in my bedroom. Oh my God. Do they realize what they're missing? No, they don't. They don't realize what they're missing. Have they ever liked it at all? Not even as kids? My God, that stuff is so sweet. You go into diabetic shock. But you know, my son is the same way. He wouldn't touch ethnic food if he was starving to death. He just won't. So once I'm gone, there goes all the tradition. And it pains me to think like that. But the perfect example, Thanksgiving. You know, the only house on our street that had a giant family gathering was Tanya, my black friend down the street. There were cars everywhere. And she didn't send me no plate this year. Although I didn't stop to see her either. My fault. And you know, it's sad to say, the only ones that carry on the traditions are like the black families. I didn't see anybody else in the neighborhood with a driveway full of cars. God, the spread my grandmother used to put on. Oh my God. Her house isn't that big. There had to be people wall to wall. But I'll tell you what, she puts on a spread. And it's all from scratch. God. Just the macaroni and cheese. I could eat a bucketful. But that's now whether the traditions will get carried on. That's questionable. Right now, Grandma's doing all the cooking. Now she's got like 8 granddaughters. I don't know if any of them cook with her. The possibility once grandma's gone, there goes the traditions. I'm going to have to go out to Kaiser's. I've been talking about it too much. I'm going to have to go out and at least get a little bit of everything. Because I can imagine how expensive it is. Now get me some smoked Hungarian sausage, some fresh peppered bacon. Ooh. A handful of Smokies. This, same thing. Kids think Slim Jims are true ethnic Smokies. No way. If I go to either Kaiser's or I go to Krasinski's, the Polish meat store, and get real Smokies, and then say, here, you think a Slim Jim is a Smoky? Try one of these. But I can guarantee, like Krasinski's, they probably only sell like half of what they used to back in the day. Because kids don't appreciate it. It's just sad that, I stop and think of all the immigrants that came to the United States and passed down traditions only for kids today to thumb their nose at it. And back in the day, everything was made fresh and from scratch. Gone. Gone. The only people that appreciate it are you and me, because we grew up on it. We try to get our kids to appreciate it, and they don't. So once I'm gone, all my ethnic foods will no longer be around, because my son, and it just is sad seeing all the traditions disappear. Now, like with Krasinski's, they are right on the corner of 63rd and Heisley. You take Fleet to 63rd, 63rd dead ends into Heisley. They're right on the corner. It's still a neighborhood mom and pop butcher shop. And that's what probably keeps them going. Because they're right there in the neighborhood. And rather than go to a supermarket, people are going there because they don't want to drive to a supermarket. But how much longer are they going to survive? Although they have a big distribution network. There's a lot of stores that order, like their Smokies and their pierogies and what the hell are the Spätzles and the because they make the big wide noodles like you use for cabbage and noodles. Because I know if I go like up to Sapel's in Lakewood, you'll see Krasinski products in their store. But it's the small places like Sapel's. They've got like 4 stores. You don't see anything at Krasinski's at Giant Eagle. I'm going to have to go get me some Smokies. It'll be like one month when I get my check, go to Kaiser's. Then the next month, go to Krasinski's. That'll shoot my budget. I'll bring that stuff home and I'll cook it up and my son will be gagging. Really? How cool. You guys were always in noodles, huh? Did the employees get a discount? That's cool. Yeah, a long time ago, I can imagine. Yeah. That's like my uncle was the head brewmaster for Carling's when they were over on the east side. Remember when Carling's Brewery was here? Well, he used to bring home what they called the shorts. And it would be bottles that when they went down, they didn't get filled all the way. Well, they would go from the filling machine to the capping machine. And then the guys at the end of the line would pull the shorts off. Now, some bottles might have 2 ounces, some might be 3/4 full. They used to sell $1 a case of the shorts. Well, maybe it took you 8 bottles before you got a full glass, you know. He used to bring them home all the time. He'd open his trunk and it'd be full. That's when he had his '59 Cadillac, which had a trunk big enough to raise a family of 8. But the trunk could be full of beer bottles. And some, like I say, some might have 2 ounces in the bottle. But for $1 for a case, I'd order them all the time. I'd tell them, hey, I want 8 cases, 10 cases. Out of 10 cases, maybe I had a case. Interesting thing. Now, them brewing, what the hell they call them? Not an oven, but vats. They were huge. And, they'd have a little sliding door. They dip in with a cup and they check. So I says to him, well, how do you gauge when that 2,000-gallon vat is ready? You dip out, He said no. And it's disgusting. He could tell when a batch of beer was done by the number of dead cockroaches around the vat. I was like, Jesus Christ. He'd say, yeah, there were like 3,000 dead roaches. Beer's done. Then they'd bottle it. He asked me one time if I wanted to come see the brewery. I said, no, thank you. Yeah, good old Carling's. Oh, we had Carling's. At one time, we brewed more beer in Cleveland than they brewed in Milwaukee. We had all kinds of breweries here. We had Carling's, we had Schmidt's, we had Old Vienna. God, I can't. A lot of the beers aren't even around anymore. I don't think I've seen Carling's in a beer cooler in years. But interesting thing, what's the biggest selling beer in England? Carling's. And I wish Nomad was here. Carling's over in England, big seller. Here, I don't even know if another brewery we had here, Stroh's. I haven't seen Stroh's beer in ages. Because my uncle used to drink it by the case. Yeah, we had Carlings and Stroh's and Schmidt's and Old Vienna, Old Dutch. We had an Old Dutch brewery. I used to know a lot of them. Genesee, that was a big brewery here. And then slowly but at one time, because Milwaukee used to, I don't know if they still are, they were like, for put it this way, Cleveland was number one, Milwaukee was number two. And when the breweries started closing here, then Milwaukee was number one. Because I remember another beer they brewed here was Ballantine Ale. My grandfather loved Ballantine. When the brewery moved out of Cleveland to Milwaukee, they cheapened the beer. They changed the recipe, made it cheaper. And it killed my grandfather because he couldn't stand the new brewed Ballantine Ale. And the way he could tell, Cleveland would bottle Ballantine in dark green bottles. Milwaukee, brown bottles. And when he found out that they changed the brewing recipe, he bought up every case of green bottle Ballantine he could get his hands on. And he kept them. They had a root cellar under their house. Now, there was a little basement for my grandmother to do laundry. And then they had this root cellar, which, the ground stays at like the same temperature. That goddamn root cellar was green bottle Ballantine Ale from front to back, bottom to top. And boy, I'll tell you what, he really cut back on his beer drinking because he had the last of the stock of green Ballantine bottles in his root cellar. But yeah, God, I remember he would take me for a ride, and we would drive past all the breweries. It was amazing how many breweries we had in Cleveland. Like I say, we were number one. Milwaukee was number two. And then We had, they're coming to me. Standard Brewing. I can't remember what beer they brewed. Standard Brewing was another one. God, if I thought hard enough, I could probably remember all of them. Because a lot of them were down around like 65th and Clark. There were a shitload of breweries down on 65th Street. And then there were some over on the east side, because Carling's was on the east side. Amazing. Sad to think how many jobs were lost with all the breweries that closed up. Definitely tomorrow, I'm going to get me a couple of big baking potatoes to try my earth-cured Irish butter with a big dollop of Lawson's chip dip. I'm trying to think, what else to put inside that baked potato? Butter. Maybe a couple of cheeses. Maybe some cheddar. Two kinds of cheddar. I'll put in yellow cheddar, white cheddar, bacon bits, chives. What else? Although I'll tell you what, and my son thinks it's disgusting, I eat the whole potato. The skin is what has all the vitamins and nutrients in it, not the potato. I take a baked potato, gone, whole thing. And like the ones that come wrapped in the foil, they're like triple washed. They're ready to bake. You leave them in the foil, put them in the oven, poke some. They said take a fork and poke them, put it in the oven. Then when it's done, I scoop some out, save it, fill the potato with a bunch of goodies, and then eat the whole thing. And my son, he's like, oh, those were in the ground. Well, I'm not eating the dirt. Like when I make mashed potatoes, I make my mashed potatoes with the skins on. He thinks that's disgusting. I'll boil up potatoes, mash them with the skin. That's where the vitamins and nutrients are, in the skin. I love mashed potatoes with the skins on them. It's the only way to eat a potato. Yeah, I make them that way. He won't touch them. I ain't eating those. Well, it's not like I pick the potato out of the ground and threw it in a pot. Even so, if I took a potato out of the ground and boiled it, it'd be clean when you got done. Scoop the potato out, maybe give it a little rinse, put it in a pot, mash the shit out of it. That's the only way I have ever eaten mashed potatoes. My wives, four, would have to make two different things of mashed potatoes because nobody would eat with the skin. Oh my God. Oh, really? Oh, what a breakfast. Oh my God. Now, do you ever make red eye gravy? Now you can make the white gravy. You ever make red eye gravy? Because red eye gravy is made from the drippings when you get done frying the ham. Yeah, you take and you make your base for your white gravy, and then you pour the drippings from the fried ham. And they call that red eye gravy. Talk about your arteries clogging just thinking about it. Oh my God. Can I come for breakfast? Mm. If I leave now, I could get there by breakfast. I bet your daughters won't eat that. When you make that, I bet they don't eat it. That's, like baked potato skins. I could eat I could eat them by the bucketful. But what a breakfast. Oh my God. That is a breakfast that sticks to your ribs. That is one hell of a breakfast. That's my kind of breakfast. Mmm. Outstanding. Oh, God. Mm-mm-mm. But like once a week, like on Sunday morning, to have a breakfast like that is killer. I'm not, now, back in the day, that was a daily breakfast. But to do something like that once a week, oh, like I say, tomorrow's Sunday. If I leave now, I could be there in time for breakfast. I don't know if the shitbox would make it down there, but well, it's nice to know your daughters love that kind of breakfast. But like for once a week, a Sunday morning, oh God. At the end of the show, I'll leave and I'll be there for breakfast, just in time for breakfast. Then I'll have to turn around and come home. It'd be what? 9 hours? 8, 9 hours from here? I don't think the truck could make it there and back, but it would be interesting. Especially with some good old country ham. Oh, oh, oh. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, get some good old farm cured ham. Mmm. What a breakfast. My uncle that had the farm out in Columbia Station, he would have my aunt make a ham steak and then put the ham steak on the plate, fried eggs on top, hash browns, couple of biscuits, and then cover the whole thing with white gravy. And that would be his breakfast. Kids nowadays think a Egg McMuffin is a breakfast. Although I'll tell you, it's cheating, but every now and then I'll buy a can of sausage gravy. And then I'll get some Jiffy Mix and make some biscuits. Or get some Pillsbury and make me some biscuits. Fry up some eggs. Put the biscuits and the eggs on the plate and then cover it all with sausage gravy. Mmm. Now, my grandmother would make biscuits from scratch. Yeah, it's an art. Making biscuits from scratch is an art. It really is. It's not something you just whip up and poof. Yeah, it's an art form. To make true, down home, old country style biscuits, it's an art form. I cheat. I'll get some Pillsbury, open, cut them in half, put them on the plate, put fried eggs on top of the biscuits, and then drown it in sausage gravy. I do that maybe once a month. And then my arteries clog. But yeah, Kathy, that's an art. To do them from scratch and get them to turn out perfect without burning the bottoms. Nice golden brown on top. That is an art. If you've mastered biscuits, good for you. That is something I hope your girls appreciate. Because, yeah, making scratch biscuits and getting them to turn out perfect is an art. Yeah. My grandmother would never time them. She would watch. And when the top got to be a certain color, they were done. And I mean perfect. Because a lot of times, the bottom will burn, you know. Top looks beautiful, take them out of the pan, you got charcoal. Gee, it's been what now? 4 days, 5 days without Jenny? 4 days? No Jenny. Now Wyatt was here last night. So that's good. I'm starting to worry about Jenny. And Nomad, he gets a pass because he's busy. But at least, we know why. But for Jenny to be gone this long got me worried. I'm going to have to email her in the morning. And find out what's going on. Although you might have a different email. I just used the one off of eBay. But either way, we got to hear from her. Because it's been too long. I hope she's all right. See, I worry about people, I'm probably the only one on YouTube that worries about my peoples. And same thing, Mears. God, we haven't heard from Mears in a couple of weeks. And I don't have any way of getting a hold of him. I wonder if Nomad knows how to get a hold of Mears. Yeah, see, I'm getting worried about people. You know, they show up every night and then all of a sudden gone. And I know Jenny was not feeling well. That's what makes me concerned. Not to mention, she hasn't seen the golden microphone. Oh. Although she don't probably even know this exists. You did. I brought it out special for you. The golden microphone. It sounds so damn good, though. It really does. I'm going to keep using it. At least for a little while. For a cheap Chinese-made microphone, it's amazing. It really is. Not to mention, it looks cool. The golden microphone. Now see, Rush Limbaugh, he had one that was completely gold-plated. And he used to, that's how he would start his program. Broadcasting into my golden microphone. Mine's only half gold. And cheap plating. But it's neat anyway. I think it's getting to be about that time. The echo is driving me crazy. Damn echo. All right, let's see if the tablet's going to cooperate. Oh. It did. It went right to the alphabetical. We know where, right here. WDWL TV. 7 p.m. And with that, have a wonderful rest of your evening, Captain. And we will meet again tomorrow night. And with that,